Happy Monday, Happy New Year. It's still January. We can say Happy New Year, Feliz Año Nuevo. And we are also on the eve of Lunar New Year, which is celebrated by over 1 billion people on this earth. So we have a great recipe for you today. In celebration, Asian-inspired recipe, 5 happiness fried noodles. Before we start, I want to make sure I have my language correct. So it's Happy New Year in Cantonese is Gong He Fa Choi. Gong He Fa Choi. Connie, how else do you say it in Mandarin?
So in Mandarin, we would say 新年快乐, 恭喜发财, and 万事如意. We say 3 different blessings just because it's the full proverb in order to get the full blessing of the New Year spirit. So what you said 恭喜发财 is 恭喜发财. It means congratulations, almost to the blessing of the New Year. And then 新年快乐 is Happy New Year. 万事如意 is I give my blessing to you.
Oh, thank you, Connie. I like that. That sounds so fantastic. So we have a really fun Asian-inspired recipe. And I say Asian-inspired because perhaps at home, your recipes don't look exactly like this, but there's certainly elements that we're taking from Asian and Chinese culture. So the recipe we have today is 5 happiness fried noodles. It's a vibrant recipe. It has a lot of flavors. It has a lot of our My Plate food groups. So let's talk a little bit about the recipe. Let's dive into all of our ingredients. So obviously, we've already washed our hands, right? It's the first thing you have to do when you're cooking. We get this question a lot. Do you have to wash your hands when you're cooking at home? Of course, right? You want to have clean hands. It's very, very important. Our recipe today calls for 10 cups of water to boil your noodles. We have 1 pound of egg noodles. We have a tablespoon of olive oil. We have some bamboo shoots that we bought them in a can. They are already julienne, they're cut. You want to make sure we drain them and rinse them to remove some of that extra sodium. We have about 3 cups of bean sprouts. We're going to do half a cup of carrot, shredded, 2 cups of dried shiitake mushrooms, or whatever mushrooms you can find. Or if you don't like mushrooms, you don't have to add them either. 2 green onions or scallions, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of reduced sodium soy sauce. So this recipe is fantastic. It has 3 of your food groups, your My Plate food groups, your grains, your proteins, and your vegetables. So I guess we can start, and then we'll talk a little bit about the recipe as we're going. So first, let's do our carrot. As you see here, I have a whole carrot. You can buy this shredded, but this was about, what, 40 cents? Right? 40 cents. You can get a decent amount of carrots here. We don't need to use this much. It's not, we peeled it? It's peeled.
It's not peeled.
No. It's peeled, yeah, we peeled it. Yeah, it's a peeled carrot. So you know what? It's peeled.
It's peeled?
Yeah. So let me come over here and shred. We're going to need half a cup. Right, and this is our carrot. If you're short on time, you can buy the shredded bag, but I always like to just buy it whole because I'd rather save money than save time, but sometimes it depends on what you need to do. So honey, how many do you need? How many cups? Half a cup. So, over here. If you like a lot of carrots, by all means, do a little more. Be careful with the grater. If you're not used to using one, just take your time. You can very easily grate your knuckles, and nobody wants any of that, right? I don't want any knuckles in my recipe. All right, so this looks like about half a cup. Let me put this over here. I have this little tool here, which I'd love to use, but you can also use the back of your knife.
And as Natalia said, you want to be using the back of your knife just because the front of your knife, the sharp part, is a blade that does bend. So if you start scraping it, moving it, it can actually bend your knife and dull your knife, which actually leads to further and easier injuries.
So we have our scallions that have been pre-washed. I like to cut the tips because they're usually a little flimsy, we don't want to, we're going to use this one, right? Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. So just a thin slice on your onions.
And you know that Italian is using kind of like a rocking back and forth motion. Some knives do have that curve so that it's easier to rock back and forth. You never have to take it off. Other knives you might need to take off. It really depends.
And I'm cutting like this, right? Always have your fingers curled back so you don't cut your finger, right? So always pull your fingers back. And take your time cutting, right? If Connie and I cut a lot of food, we're used to it, so we're going a little fast. But if you're not comfortable in the kitchen, take your time. Okay, and again, where's my little tool here? All right, so we have our carrots, we have our scallions. Connie, let's turn on our skillet.
So if you have a skillet, you're gonna want to start turning this on to like a medium-high heat, just so it can start getting warmed up before you put on the oil.
Okay, so while that's warming up, let's talk a little bit about our noodles. We boil these in about 10 cups of water. You want to get them, the boil is about, what, 7 to 8 minutes, depending. And these are very long noodles, right? So these are very, very, very long. So Connie, tell us about the long noodles.
So in regards to the noodles, there are many different types of egg noodles out there. The ones that I got are they kind of look like a little bit like lo mein noodles, right? And the reason why I got these long ones is just because in our culture, the longer the noodles that you eat on New Year's, the significant, it kind of symbolizes the longer life you're really gonna have, right? So let's say I pull one out and it's pretty relatively long. It just means I'm just gonna live a long life, right? So that's why in our tradition, when we eat noodles, we don't break it halfway through. You want to slurp the whole thing up, which is what all this nice stuff comes from.
That's nice. So these noodles, did you find in the Asian market or the supermarket?
I found these ones in the local supermarket in the international section. However, you can find them in Asian markets if you have them near you, and there are also many varieties.
Yeah. So if you can't find the long noodles, we also have these little short egg noodles. I don't know if the long life is great on the little ones, but you know, sometimes we can't find these, right? These shorter egg noodles are also available in whole wheat. And of course, we were looking for them today, and just like our tech issues, when you want something to work, it doesn't. But you can use any whole wheat noodle you want. You can use soba noodle. You can use, so they have buckwheat. And remember, if you can find a whole wheat alternative, it's better because we want to make half our grains whole. So that's always a good alternative. Now Connie's going to toss the noodles in and give them a little saute. And while that's cooking, I don't know, you probably hear it sizzling, so I'm going to speak a little louder. Connie, the year that we're coming into is the year of the snake, right? What does it mean? What can you tell us about the year of the snake?
So as Aquila said, we are going into the year of the snake. We are transitioning out from dragon to snake, and it's really a year of new beginnings and shedding your old skin. If you think about it, like snakes and dragons, they have relatively the same shape, not necessarily the same size, but they have relatively the same shape. And there's actually a myth in Chinese culture where the snake always wants to be wants to be like a dragon. And in order to do that, it sheds its skin and lives what would you call it? Considered a prosperous, honest life in order for it to become kind of celestialized, to become a dragon. So it's always shedding new skins in hopes of becoming that dragon.
Oh, that's a nice story. As we were preparing for this, a little fun fact that I learned was that Taylor Swift was born in the year of the snake. I don't know, some people really love Taylor Swift. Okay, that's fine, right? That's fantastic. It's just a little fun fact that I thought we would share. So Connie is sizzling and cooking our noodles. I just realized, it just occurred to me that I don't know if I introduced myself properly because of our tech issues. My name is Itania Guerrero Granshaw. I'm a SNAP-Ed educator. Connie Zhu is a fellow SNAP-Ed educator. And behind the scenes, we have Catherine Bacon and Melanie David, who are doing our tech. So it's starting to smell really good here. We're gonna cook those up. I'm gonna ask my colleague Catherine to come around and if she can rinse this bowl out for us. You're gonna see her on screen for a moment. Be careful with the wire. If you can rinse this out for us, please. So this, go ahead. This recipe is a lot of fun because you can add whatever you would like to it. You can add, so what do we have here? If we wanted to add some garlic, we can add some ginger. You can add broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, onions, cucumbers, tomatoes. You can add any sort of protein you like, chicken, fish, shrimp, tofu, maybe some lean beef. What else can we add to it? We could add some low-fat cheese if we wanted to have a dairy in there. So this is a fun recipe. You can really play around with it and go in many different directions. All right, so Connie's just cooking that up. Thank you, Catherine.
Now, the stir-fried noodles will generally take about 5 to 7 minutes. We have let our noodles cook for a little bit longer while it was in the boiling hot water. So it's not going to take as long to stir fry. You're going to realize that it's almost done. But it has kind of like a nice crispy brown color, like golden brown on certain edges of it.
And Connie's using her chopsticks. I probably wouldn't use chopsticks because I'm not as experienced with them. I'd probably use tongs. But you use what you're most comfortable with. So here we go, Connie.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick it out because we kind of want the noodles to be nice and kind of tender, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to be tender while we cook our vegetables. And if you have the noodles kind of just sitting in the way, what it's going to do is it's not going to allow the vegetables to cook since the noodles take up a large mass of your pot.
So it's still sizzling. And we picked this recipe because it was easy and versatile. And because New Year in January, New Year's also just a great time to start new healthy habits. I always like to say in my classes, it's okay what you did yesterday. Today is a new day. So today's a great day to start a new healthy habit. Whether it's taking a walk outside, remember we need to exercise for 30 minutes a day. I love walking. Walking is my favorite exercise because it's free, first of all, but it's also nice to get some fresh air and get some sunshine. So New Year is great for new beginnings. Those are nice. All right, so we have our noodles over here. We'll set these aside. We will start with our...
We're going to add the other half tablespoon of olive oil back into the pan for the vegetables.
We have our bamboo shoots that have been drained, rinsed and drained. And if you can't find bamboo, you can substitute it out for radish, right? You said radish is a good one. Water chestnut. Daikon?
Yeah.
Daikon I'm not too familiar with.
Daikon is like a type of white radish.
Okay, oh, I know what it is.
Mostly you use it for pickling. If you ever had like tomato fried chicken.
So those are good substitutions. Or if you don't like the mushrooms,
no, pea sauce. Pea sauce when cooked has a nice water content to it, so that it helps cooking the mushrooms.
We have a question. What does bamboo taste like?
what does bamboo taste like? That's a great question. It's got a very mild flavor. It has a semi-crunchy consistency. What does it taste like?
Bamboo is it's because of the water content it does have a really mild flavor. However, the thing about bamboo is it takes on the flavor of your sauce, basically. Whatever you cook it in, it kind of takes in that flavor. So,
Fiber.
It's very fiber. It has a lot of fiber. Yeah, I'm trying to think what vegetable it's akin to. I mean, almost like, I don't want to take the pick, because potato has a distinct flavor. But yeah, it's a very mild, very subtle flavor. Really what it adds is texture and fun. And like Tom said, It takes on whatever flavoring you're adding to it. Mushrooms. These add a nice earthy flavor to it. I love mushrooms. They're very high in minerals. They have a good fiber content too, if I'm not mistaken. And they're just fun to cook with. But if you don't like mushrooms, some people love mushrooms and some people just do not like to do mushrooms, you don't have to add it. The fun thing about cooking is that you can go in a lot of different directions when you're cooking at home. Recipes are really meant as guides to guide you through a final product. So you can always experiment a little bit if you want. But if you're new to cooking and you're using recipes, use your measuring cup and your measuring spoons, right? People who eyeball seasonings and eyeball oils and sauces, if you've been doing it for a long time, you're pretty good at it. But if you're new to the kitchen, always rely on your measuring utensils.
And just a quick side note, the green sprouts that I grew in here are green sprouts, meaning they come from green beans that I sprouted up. There are two types that you can generally find in your local market. They are white bean sprouts and the green bean sprouts. The white bean sprouts are identifiable because they generally come with a little nub that's still stuck to it. You kind of want to keep that off before cooking with it, otherwise it's really tough. But it does contain a lot of fiber, so it really depends on how much fiber you really want that day.
Alright, so we're cooking up our veggies here. This is where if I had broccoli, I would add broccoli. I would add broccoli or zucchini. Shredded zucchini would be nice. Cauliflower. You can also add frozen vegetables. If you had a bag of frozen peas or carrots in your freezer, you can toss those in just for some extra color and extra goodness. So it smells good in here.
It's making me hungry.
It is making me hungry too. And if you can hear it sizzle, everything is sizzling up very nicely.
Now, this recipe does call for the scallions to go in at this point. I am going to leave the scallions out just for a little bit longer because what we have is a lot of scallion beef tops, which means that the longer you cook it, the more wilty it kind of looks. And we kind of want to keep the scallions bright green and really draw in the flavor with the green color flavor. So we're going to probably add that in after we add in all of our spices, including the soy sauce, sugar, and our salt.
You can also add fresh herbs if you wanted to. I think cilantro would work nicely in here. Parsley. I mean, you can add basil. You can add any sort of fresh herb that you add or dried seasoning. So if you didn't have green onions and you want to do onion powder or garlic powder, you could. Connie is adding in some of our seasonings, our salt, sugar, and our low sodium soy sauce. It's really important, I think, to get low sodium. So you're going to be careful with those sodium numbers. Okay, now it's going to start smelling really, really good in here.
And then I'm going to go in with the scallions. Lightly cook the scallions. We don't want to cook it too long because once again it might wilt. Generally, what you can do is scallions come with the white part and the green part. White part is generally used for sauteing, and the green part is generally used for garnish. But in this case, it doesn't really matter.
And a fun little fact with scallions that I could do at home, with these little bottoms, I put them in a little cup of water, and they'll grow. So in a few days, they'll grow a couple inches, and I have scallions again that I can reuse. Just keep changing the water so it's fresh. And it's a little money saver there. These will last you a long time. You won't have to go back to the store for a while.
Once the noodles go back in, it takes about another 2 to 3 minutes, and then you have yourself a nice, delicious noodle meal, which honestly is making me really hungry.
So we're going to give this a couple more minutes, but it has a lot of your My Plate food groups. You can really add a lot of different things to this recipe. You can also add hard-boiled egg, or you can stir fry an egg into it. Let's say you didn't have noodles at home and what you have is rice. You can do instead of like fried rice instead. You have brown rice. You can keep all the same ingredients, just swap out the grain for a brown rice, and then you have a very healthy brown rice to eat. All right, Connie, this is looking really good. So let me clear these out of the way. Don't mind, made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay.
Cooking is meant to be messy.
So like I said, cooking is a guide, right? You can go different ways with it. Baking is the one that's more of a science because you need certain ingredients to make foods rise and cook a certain way. Baking is where you need to be a little more rigid with your recipes, but when it comes to cooking, feel free to experiment with what works best for you. And sometimes maybe look in your freezer or your kitchen to see what you already have. Perhaps you have a can of beans you want to throw in here, or you have some frozen vegetables in your freezer. So it's always good to look sometimes even before you go food shopping, always make a list and we'll see what you have. But yeah, this is great because it covers some of your grains, proteins, and vegetables in your My Plate. On the side, you have maybe for dessert some blueberries and strawberries. There's your fruit. You maybe toss in a little bit of low-fat cheese, and you have your dairy, and you can make a really complete meal out of it.
At the 3-minute mark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my heat, but still continue to stir because there is residual heat left in the pot, and it's still going to continue cooking, but just not as hot.
Smells good. We also have ginger here. This is another. This is popular in Asian cooking. Ginger, I think, would go very nice in here as well.
Ginger or galangal?
Or what?
Galangal?
What's that?
It's almost like ginger, but it's mostly found more in Southeast Asian cuisine. It's their version of ginger, basically.
All right, so I don't know if you can see the recipe. You can see the noodles, all the vegetables are mixed in. Connie's gonna plate a little bit for us.
So when is Lunar New Year? When is
Lunar New Year? Lunar New Year starts on the 29th of January, which is Wednesday in 2 days. However, most of us start celebrating tomorrow, and we spend this weekend actually start clearing the house. Lunar New Year prep starts the week before Lunar New Year. So you clean out the house, everything, ceiling to floor, white windows, white doors. It's the hopes that with a new house, new clean house, it drives away the evil spirits and invites new good spirits to come into your home because it's clean, it's friendly, it's welcoming. And then New Year's celebration, depending on what country you're celebrating in, can last from 1 day all the way up to 3 months.
And I know there's a lot of Lunar New Year celebrations by us here in Long Island. New York City also has a very large Asian population. There's a lot of celebrations there. But if you Google in your community events or your local library, a lot of places have Lunar New Year celebrations that are open to the public or things that are happening in celebration of. So it's a great way to learn a little bit more about what our communities celebrate. All right, so now we're going to taste. But I want to make sure it's not too hot because the last time I did this, I tasted too fast and I burned myself. That wasn't fun. Let's see.
Excuse us. I
know. I'm not supposed to eat and talk, but so I'll take a little bite. Let's see. The noodles are good. I like the texture.
The mushroom adds a lot of umami flavor.
The mushrooms are really, really good. I like mushrooms. They add a nice little earthy flavor. So that's our recipe for today. Do we have any more questions out there? Okay, so this recipe you can find on our snapednewyork.org website. Please feel free to visit that website for this recipe and all of our other fantastic, healthy, My Plate-based recipes. Remember, we want to eat all our 5 food groups. You want to eat a variety of colors, eat the rainbow. Make sure you see a lot of dark greens on your plate every day. It's a happy new year. Gong he fa choi. Go ahead.
I wish everyone a happy new year. Gong he fa choi and Senior Pilot.
Happy New Year, happy and healthy, and thank you for joining us today. Bye.
Bye.